Hello everybody, my name is Tyler.
And my name is Ilya. Together we make up kovray.
Welcome to this week's episode of Check It Out, where we introduce various board games to you.
On this week's episode we have
Nunami!
Nunami!
Check it out, check it out, check it out. We're really excited to be sharing this game with you because it's a first in the board game industry. This game is the first game designed by an Inuit designer.
And not only that, we were actually provided this copy by our friendly local game store that is Indigenous owned and is about to have their grand opening. Their name is Pe Metawe Games. So they share a lot of our values, and if you want to show them or this game some support, feel free to go and check out some links down below.
So let's dive right into the game.
For sure. So Nunami is designed by Tumasi Manyok and illustrated by him and his mother and daughter who share the same name, Pasa Manyok. The way you win Nunami is by being the first to collect 4 points. It is a game of area control where you try to create a balance between humans and nature by placing cards in various spots. Now, will you have enough influence to create that balance, or will it just all go to shambles?
Let's give you a quick overview of how to play. You'll begin by setting up. This game is either 2 or 4 players, so you'll set up accordingly.
You'll first select the community that you want to play. Karkramiut are those who live on the mountain. Inuit, which are they're also people, so half animal, half human. This is the nature side. Nunami, which are they're from the land, or Kartamiut, which are people who live on the shore.
Once you've selected your color, you'll grab the corresponding tokens for them.
These are your scoring tokens.
Depending on the player count and the communities that were chosen, you'll put together a deck for the game. Select the tiles and place them into the center of the table in any manner you choose, as long as they remain connected. After that, you'll place 8 cards face down onto the board that you've assembled. You can do this by each taking a turn, taking the top card of the deck and putting it where you feel is necessary. Each player will start with a hand of 5 cards, and the turns will look a little bit like this. You'll draw 1 card and then play a card into one of the tile spaces. Now there are a couple ways to play the cards. You can play them face down or face up, and if they're face up next to the cards, next to face down cards, you'll flip those face down cards up. Alternatively, you can choose to play cards on top of other cards. There are a couple rules here that you'll need to know. First, you can't place cards on top of face down cards. Second, you can't place cards of other colors that you don't control on top of those colors. Third, you have to pay attention to what's called strength points, which is indicated by colored in triangles in one of the corners of the cards. The way this works is if the triangle strength points are higher on your card or the same to the card that you want to place it on top of, then you're able to do so. But you can't do it if it's the other way around.
The game continues until one of the boards gets filled. At that point, scoring happens. And what's really neat is scoring is dynamic in this game. So anytime that new cards are placed to fill a board or placed on top of a filled board, scoring reoccurs. And the way you score points is either by having the most influence, so the most colors of your community in the hexagon,
or you'll score a point depending on the total sum of the hexagon. If you're in the positive, you'll score points for the human community. If you're in the negative, you'll score points for the nature community. But be careful, because if you exceed 7, you have to remove all of the human community cards, and if you go below -7, you'll have to remove all of the nature community cards.
And at that point, scoring is likely interrupted. So you don't score for that hexagon if it's not full.
You'll continue playing by placing cards on top of cards or placing them on empty spaces until somebody scores 4 points.
At that point, a winner is declared.
Winner! So, what do you think?
I really enjoy this. It has a lot of elements of strategic thinking, and I like to compare it a little bit to chess. Although they're very different games, the element that's very similar is that you really have to be in your opponent's head. And you have to think of where are they going to go, what are they going to do, because one wrong move, you can lose.
And I think that has a lot to do with the dynamics of it. So all of a sudden you could have 3 points, and one play could turn the whole table around to your opponent having 3 points or even winning the game, and then you end up having just one. So I think that's like one of my favorite parts about the game is it dynamically changes, and because the board is so spread out, you can actually play on one side of the board and then strategically plan how you're going to get points on the other side of the board by staying quiet.
Sneaky.
Yeah. And basically, sneaking those points out of your opponent.
Yeah,
and winning the game.
The wrap up is really fun because you'll have like 1 or 2 points each, and once you have 2 points each, one move can win you the game. So you just have moments where you just stare each other down.
Yeah. The other cool thing too is that you don't have just your own cards. So there's not only a limited number of your colored cards, but there's also a limited number of interactions you'll get with your own cards. So you really have to adjust again for what your opponent is doing.
So why should you check it out?
Well, I think if you're really into like strategic type games, this is definitely something that you would enjoy. It's very, very pleasant to play.
It can also be played outdoors because all the components are actually waterproof, so that's really neat as well, especially in the pandemic times where we can't have any indoor gatherings.
I also think the dynamic scoring is something, if you're really interested in those types of games, this one in particular will wow you with that.
I think so too. And to top it off, you also have the great thematic integration. You really get to learn a piece of the Inuit culture and that whole sharing of the land between the humans and the nature. So it's really interesting, and the limited resources, there's a lot of really neat small thematic integrations that really stand out in this game, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, exactly. The balance and the interconnection between humanity and nature, I think, is really, really neat and really prevalent in this game. So why shouldn't you check it out?
So initially, learning this game was a bit challenging due to the rulebook and the layout of the rulebook. But once we got through all of it and actually used some resources online as well, it was really easy to jump into the game. And after that, it's actually easy to teach as well, in my opinion.
Yes, yeah, definitely. The other thing, if you aren't really a strategic thinker or you try to veer away from that when playing games, this might not be for you. It seems relatively simple at first, like when you start playing it, but there is a lot of strategic thinking behind it.
You really got to be in your opponent's head, not just do your own thing. This is a game where if you focus on yourself, you're not going to do well.
Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, if you're not totally into area control games, again, it's a main portion of this game, so I wouldn't check it out if that's not your thing.
So overall, we really enjoyed this game. It's definitely a keeper for our collection, and we're very eager to introduce it to more folks.
Yeah, exactly. I think the strategic thinking and the area control is something that we really enjoy. And on top of that, they take those mechanics, the designer takes those mechanics and intertwines them with the Inuit culture, and it just is really prevalent in the game.
It resonates quite a lot. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and it makes a wholesome experience. So for the question of the day, why don't you let us know in the comments down below what your favorite area control game is?
Thank you so much for checking out our Check It Out of Nunami. If you like what you saw, feel free to give us a thumbs up or hit that subscribe button down below or click that bell notification to know when our next videos are up. We do Check It Out every Wednesday.
That's it for us today, and we'll see you next time. Until then, this is us checking out.
out.
Bye.